Well, hello there, Dippers, and welcome back to episode 50 of the Knuckle Sammich podcast, the official MMA podcast of Sauce on the Side. That's right, Dippers, we are on episode 50. Time kind of flies.
It does fly.
In 1 year, Leighton C. has become the MMA master after never watching any UFC fights other than Conor McGregor or John Jones.
Sports easy.
Guys, as always, I'm your host, Drake, joined by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Thomas R. Shackelford.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And our producer, Mr. Leighton Pip Shaventone.
The master's in the building.
Dippers, today we don't have any fights to basically preview for you. We don't have any fights to pick to help you win money. But we will kind of put a recap on the fights that we had last weekend, which was ESPN, the ESPN card. It was the second ESPN card by the UFC. Very good card. We'll put a bow on that one. Talk about Shackelford. He went 3-1, had a dog pick, even win. Looked like he could possibly go 4-0. But Justin Gaethje goes out there in Justin Gaethje fashion and finishes the fight in the first round, like he likes to do. And I also have a special little game for you guys after we get done talking about the ESPN card. So, without further ado, Leighton C. Drop the noise. Welcome to the Knuckle Sammich podcast with Thomas R. Shackelford, a Sauce on the Side production. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the ESPN card. His second fight card for the UFC on ESPN. That takes so much getting used to because forever I feel like I was just saying like ESPN or UFC on Fox. Now it's UFC on ESPN. So I'm going to struggle with that for a while. Kind of like how I struggle with the San Diego Chargers or the St. Louis Rams.
Although, yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I'm gonna mess this one up for a while. So overall, good night of fights.
Oh yeah, real good.
And I've talked about this before. It seems like they're basically putting all the chips on the table for the UFC cards on ESPN. And I couldn't be more happy about it. I'm just going to run through a recap real quick. So Justin Gaethje finished Edson Barboza in the first round via knockout. What did you think about that fight? We said that it was basically going to be two guys coming in there duking it out. That's exactly what we got. Mr. Shackelford, what did you think about that fight?
It was really good. I mean, it was short. I forget exactly how long it lasted. At the last minute, I picked Barboza, but I mean, I would probably still pick Barboza again. I don't know. I just felt like maybe he had the chin to stand up to Gaethje. I guess he didn't.
No.
I mean, Gaethje just walked forward, put him against the fence, and hit him with the right. I do think Barboza kind of stumbled Gaethje once, and then Gaethje kind of went right back at him. I don't really know what to make of Gaethje. I mean, he had those two losses. It makes you think, had he not fought the way he fought against, because he kind of made that proclamation like, I want to be the, what was it, like the most brutal or the most, what did he say? He said, I want to be the most barbaric or brutal man in MMA. Or toughest man in MMA.
He's off to a hot start.
Well, against Poirier and Alvarez, he fought like a certain way. Had he fought like he has these last two, where he was a little smarter with his pressure and his shots. I heard one stat. You said he takes, what was it? He gives 5 to take 5.
Gives 5, that's just per minute.
He's changed his last two fights. His punch count has been way down. But his accuracy has been way up, and it's resulted in 2 knockouts. So you gotta, maybe he did learn a good lesson. He's still going to be that like barbaric, super brutal guy going in there, but it seems like he's found a way to kind of hone those down a little bit.
Yeah, and honestly, with the way he has fought recently, there's no reason why he's not going to be fighting for a title soon.
Yeah, the division's still kind of sketchy now, but when you think of guys that could give Khabib the toughest matchup, he's certainly. I mean, you got to think Ferguson's. I still think Ferguson probably matches up best with Khabib, but then right behind him would be Gaethje.
Yeah, and I think that you put him in a fight against Tony Ferguson, that would just be absolute. That would be so fun.
Oh, that would be.
And honestly, him fighting Ferguson or Khabib, that would really be the first time that we've got to see his wrestling on full display.
Yeah, I would like to see him against Khabib because, I mean, McGregor is not the best wrestler in the division, and I don't care what anybody says. When you watch that, he defended a ton of takedowns from Khabib. So I think Gaethje placed 7th in the NCAAs in like 2011. So we're talking, that's not very many years ago. It's not like Mark Coleman when he was still fighting in 2006 when he hadn't wrestled a college or Olympic match in like 20 years.
Right.
Thing. Or Dan Henderson would be the best example.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, he's a Olympian on the wrestling. I'm like, well, he was Olympian in like 1992.
Yes, he carried the original Olympic torch.
Yeah, so it would be awesome to see him in there because I guarantee if McGregor can stop those takedowns, I guarantee a D1 All-American 7th place just 7 years ago can stop some takedowns.
I absolutely agree with you. So we'll go ahead and run down the list. Jack Hermanson, he ended up submitting David Branch in the first round. What does that really do for Hermanson in the standpoint of that division?
It boosted. I mean, I believe Branch was like a number 10 guy. Hermanson, that's his first big like signature win, and I mean he's the one that at the last minute I flopped the picks when I put out the little picture that we usually put out on social media the day before, and that's the one I flopped on. Glad I did. I mean, he just got a takedown, and he used a position that I like a lot, just a kind of little sneaky front headlock / guillotine. I mean, you could see it coming a mile away.
Oh,
Apparently,
absolutely.
David Branch didn't.
Yeah,
I don't know where Branch goes from here, man. Now he's had a couple losses. He knocked out Thiago Santos. He almost beat Luke Rockhold, knocks out Thiago Santos, and then has 2 like bizarre losses to, I don't want to say nobodies, but I mean that's like their signature win of their career. So they're up and comer type guys.
Right. I thought that was kind of a weird fight because I don't know how Branch didn't sniff that out. Like, it was something that, like, I could even see. It was very, very weird finish there.
He kind of was just like, oh, this guy's just going to let me roll out of this and stand right up. Oh, no. The thing that really surprised me, he didn't fight the hands at all.
Not at all.
It wasn't even in a half guard. It wasn't in a full guard. He didn't fight the hands.
He just waited till it got extremely tight and then tapped.
Exactly, yeah. And that's not a great... I mean, you could do jiu-jitsu for a month and know that the first thing you need to do is grab the hands.
Yeah.
That's just... I don't know where the dude goes. I think he's like 38 years old now, so I don't know where he goes.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. Next fight on our list, we had Josh Emmett. He knocked out Michael Johnson in the 3rd round. Actually, a very, very good fight leading up to the 3rd round. I actually thought that Michael Johnson was winning the fight. What did you think about this fight? Do you think that this said some positives for Michael Johnson, seeing that he did go out there and look pretty damn good the first 2 rounds?
I wouldn't say it was positive because he got knocked dead. But,
well, yes.
I mean, he was winning. He was up 2 rounds. The problem with that is it kind of... He wasn't hurting Emmett in any way, shape, or form. He was just barely touching him, and he was doing some Bruce Lee every time he punched. So
I like that, though.
I don't know, man. I could do without that stuff.
What?
Like, if you're just...
Have you ever tried to watch tennis without them scream?
Well, that would be weird. Tennis would be weird without the grunts. But if you're hitting a guy and he's not even budging and doesn't have a single mark on his face, I don't think you should be allowed to do the Bruce Lee, wow! Like, that's for a death stroke. That's a death punch right there.
Finish him.
He was basically just on his bike, not really hurting him, and Emmett stayed in the fight, and in the 3rd, he just blasted him with a giant right hand that everybody knew was probably going to come, and it knocked Johnson into Jupiter.
Yeah, that was a vicious knockout. There was a couple of vicious knockouts, which I think is good for the UFC whenever they're on ESPN, because obviously it just attracts more eyes.
Did you see the picture of Josh Emmett It came out today. I think it was a picture of him when he weighs 186, and a picture of him when he weighed 138.
Holy smokes! No,
You didn't see it?
no.
If you guys are listening, you need to look it up. I'll show Drake here in a little bit. He is the fattest, goofiest fucker I've ever seen. Does
he walk around at 186?
Yes. He legitimately looks as buff. He probably looks less buff than I do at his walk around weight. It is unbelievable.
That's crazy.
You wouldn't even think he was any type of athlete. He looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy.
Wow. I'm excited to see this.
Look it up. It'll be the most mind-blowing thing. We'll try and get it tweeted out so you all can check it out.
Yeah, I definitely need to see this because if you're 50 pounds above your fight
hysterical.
weight, that's awesome.
I laughed so hard when I saw it.
That's awesome. So we'll actually talk about the dog winner of the night. You did pick Michelle Watterson to beat Karolina Kowalkiewicz. She did win in a 3-round decision. Very impressive fight, honestly, by Michelle Watterson. What did you see by Michelle Watterson? Did anything that you see really surprise you by her, or was this just the kind of win that you thought she would have?
Yeah, it is. She really has found her stride in the UFC. That she's not the hardest puncher, the hardest kicker, but she technically there's not anybody going to out technique her. So she's really getting good at putting the fight and winning every position to position to position. Whereas maybe before, she'd be like more concerned with, I need to win this whole round type thing, and then she'd end up losing in some spots. Whereas now, just every position that they're in, she's winning them and winning them decisively. So she moves on up. I mean, she's probably top 2 or 3 in that division now. Just kind of got to see. I think everybody else was booked up for fights, so she kind of just has to hang tight, see who wins the championship fight, which is Rose and Jessica Andrade in Brazil here in a couple weeks. And then I'm trying to think who the number 1 contender. There's another pretty big fight there that maybe before her, but I mean she's 1-2 wins away.
Right. So every week we do biggest winners, biggest losers of the card. Mr. Shackelford, who do you think was the biggest winner of this card?
It's probably Watterson. Watterson gets the closest to the next title shot in her weight class. So Gaethje would be second, just because that was just an insane fight. Other than that, it's got to be Watterson. Anytime you get one step, you beat a former title challenger and get within the top 3 of your division, that's a huge step up.
Yeah, see, I would make an argument. I do think as far as like rankings and stuff do go, Michelle Watterson was the biggest winner there. But whenever it comes to just sheer star power and fandom, I think Justin Gaethje moved his needle a ton because this fight was on ESPN, and most of your just average Joe Schmo fan who doesn't buy every pay-per-view was watching this fight, and especially since it was a great idea by the UFC. They did it at the exact time of March Madness, and people that aren't basketball fans are more than likely fight fans. So it does go one way or the other there. And everybody was watching
basketball games.
Yes, it was right in the middle of all the March Madness. Okay. So I think it was like Elite 8 games going on at the time, or no, I think Sweet 16 games.
Surprisingly, they opened up a time slot for them.
Well, ESPN doesn't have the NCAA basketball tournament. Okay. So I think this is what I was going to talk about later. Was I think that they are using this as kind of like whenever there's like other stuff going on, NBA. They slot this in, and then bam.
They got an ace in the hole there.
It's like drone racing being on during Sunday Night Football.
Yes, drone racing is actually on during Sunday Night Football.
It's been more entertaining than the game before.
In my old gig, because I used to be I was like you guys. I watched a ton of football, and then I kind of slowly got out of it. A couple years ago, I haven't watched a full football game in probably 3 years. A couple years ago at my old gig, I was sitting there on Sunday night and I was watching drone racing.
Yes.
I was like, hey man, this stuff's actually pretty gnarly. Yeah. So maybe I'm getting old or something, I don't know, but like I was watching. I was like, this is some cool shit. I'd like to do this.
No, it is, and I think this is the ESPN's way, like kind of like their ace in the hole. Whenever there's big basketball going on, you throw this on there, and you are going to have eyes on it. And I think just the way that Justin Gaethje went out there, and just like he wants, barbaric finishes, did that. I think that moves the needle up a lot for him as far as star power and people with their fandom. And I think it's going to draw a lot of eyes to Justin Gaethje's next fight. So, biggest winner, we have it. Biggest loser, who do you think it is?
I'm going to say two here. I'm going to say in the realm of where in God's name does this go next, it's got to be David Branch.
Absolutely.
And then in the realm of, man, this dude really needed that win and lost a ton of money, it's got to be Ray Borg. He was the featured prelim on ESPN Plus. Tough fight. This kid, we do need to keep an eye on this kid, Casey Kinney. He's actually from Indiana, wrestled at D2 Indianapolis University, where a guy that wrestled with us went to school at. It was a tough fight. Borg definitely lost the first round, but I felt like he won 2 and 3 pretty decisively, especially 3. He ended up losing, and it was. I'm not one of those guys that I watch these fights like, oh, that was a robbery. I rarely do that. That one certainly was. It was a robbery. So Borg, he lost some weight. He didn't make a weight cut. Apparently, he fell and hit his head in the shower, like the dude we met in St. Louis had done. Ended up in the hospital that evening, so he missed his weight cut. And as I talked to you before, he'd had some kidney issues that kept him out of the fight. He had a son with I think he said 7 brain surgeries over the past year. So this is his first fight back since 580 days or something. He needed that win more than anybody on earth, and they kind of snatched it from him. So if he's making 50 and 50, he only made 50. He made less than 50 grand for this fight. He basically hasn't fought in 2 years.
Plus a hospital bill for falling and hitting his head.
Yeah, hopefully the UFC covers that. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was saying the hotel they put him up in didn't have a sauna, and they were trying to go around to these places to try and find a sauna to make these guys to help cut weight, and he ended up having to do it in the hotel or wherever he went to cut his weight. The floor was wet when he got in there, and he just accidentally fell. It wasn't even I passed out type thing. So
wow,
can't believe those bastards getting him a sauna.
You would think that would be the first thing that you look at.
You got to think
a sauna and a complimentary breakfast.
I don't know whoever's booking hotels for UFC. If you've got 20 fighters on the card, you have 20 people that are trying to lose weight for a certain day.
Yes. Unless
a
it's
hot tub or something. Get them a hot tub. I don't know. Something. They shouldn't have to be traveling out of their hotel to get wherever they need to be.
That one's on the UFC.
David Branch, as far as career-wise, athletically and all that, him, and then Borg financially, and just the dude needs a win. We've all been in those moments in life where good God, I just need a win.
Yes,
I just
any
need,
type of win.
I just need, to find $1 on the ground or something. They took his dollar. They fished him. They put the dollar on the string and they zapped it from him right when he reached.
It was like purse fishing.
Yeah, fishing.
Uncle Dana was out in a tree somewhere with a purse on the ground with a fishing pole in his hand.
Poor Borg got purse fished.
That's unfortunate. So, guys, I promised it to you before we started the show. I do have a game for you. Latency's ecstatic. This is something that he can get behind.
I love games.
Whenever I was watching, I was on Twitter this weekend, and it was on actually April 1st. Conor McGregor posted something about this rosé that he was coming out with. I think it may be an April Fool's joke.
It definitely was.
Because
100%.
The video was the funniest thing I've ever watched in my life. It had horses running through, I guess I'll call it a brook. I don't ever think I've used the term a brook in my life. But it had white horses running through the brook. It was him coming out with this rosé.
Chomp, chomp.
Yeah, chomp, chomp. So I got the bright idea. Conor McGregor now has all this money. He is retired now as it stands at the UFC. We're going to play this game called Conor Buys. Okay? And it's going to be a ploy for Conor McGregor to make money because we know that he is a businessman. And we're going to talk about and what the namesake of these companies that he buys, will be called. I think it'd be kind of fun seeing that we saw the Chomp Chomp. So, latency, I have 4 wrapped up little things here. Reach on inside and grab you one.
Okay.
And I need you to read it aloud.
It's a big dark bag here. I don't know what's going to be in this thing. Jake went to the bathroom for like 20 minutes before we started this, so it's going to be kind of curious. Okay. I'm feeling anything mushy. Okay.
Connor buys.
A call lot.
Connor buys a car lot.
A used car lot.
Guys, what would the name of Conor McGregor's car lot be?
30 seconds or less. Get you in and out in 30 seconds.
Well, I like that.
That's
30
a
seconds.
Jiffy Lube.
Yeah, well, yeah. Latency's thinking that he's going to be running his own little Jiffy Lube. Connor's going to be in her cars changing his oil.
Well, shit. Before every fight, Conor said knock him out in X amount of time.
That's
So, like,
true.
I don't know, 3 minutes or less?
He's
I'd
not going to be
say-
working on the
I'd
cars.
say like Mystic Max used cars.
Then it just sounds like a scam.
It is a scam.
No, it's definitely going to be a scam.
What? Hey, you know I told you that's all used car dealers are scam artists.
You think he'll hire B?
Who?
He's a hell of a car.
B?
Who's B?
You watched the show.
It's like in plain sight.
Oh, B. Yeah, B's working there for sure. I forgot all about that.
B's used cars.
I forgot all about that.
Conor, see,
Mac and B's used cars.
That's bad.
and
That's
B's.
real bad. That's bad.
What about McGregor's mufflers? That'd be cool.
That's a good one. That's good. He would sell the shit out of some cars. I guarantee it. Like, well, it's missing a wheel. It's on a cinder block.
So-
Well, that's we got a tire in the back. We'll put on.
What kind
throw a
of
tire on it.
exactly? What kind of somebody think he is? He's one of 2 kinds of salesmen, or 2 kind of car like lot dealers. It's the one that has like 20,000 used cars all dusty as shit that's just in a yard. That's
No,
like
he'd keep his in
that-
good shape.
that like the dad comes to buy the daughter the first car at $1,500, or it's gonna be like a Rolls Royce. If one of those two, they'll between the Connor.
Or maybe the third would be
Quality
the
or
super
quality?
used Rolls Royce. You know, I knew a girl one time that was gonna. She was like, she wasn't driving a very nice car, and she told me she was getting a Mercedes Benz, and I'm like, damn, she must be making some good money. And then I saw it, and I was like, oh, it's like a 400,000 miles on the Benz
Yeah.
type thing. So,
Yeah.
oh man,
Max, what about Max Backs? And all he sells is hatchbacks? That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be good. I have a feeling he could sell anything to anyone.
Oh, yeah.
What's the old saying? He could sell a ketchup popsicle to an Eskimo in white gloves.
I like that.
I
I've
mean,
never heard that before.
or
I've just
man-
always heard he could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Ice to an Eskimo. Maybe I'm mixing them up because it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
that sounds like you took.
Good job, Tom.
In hell. To an Eskimo in hell, that's what it was.
You sound like the guy who's you ever watch the old Boondock Saints?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna make like a tree and get the hell out of here or whatever. Hey, that's you. You mixing
I
up.
just mixed up all the sayings there.
All right, so we'll go ahead and dip back into the pot. Mr. Shackelford, go ahead and grab you a card there.
Reach into a bag of darkness.
Ooh, this one was sticky.
Connor buys.
A brewing company.
Connor buys a brew. This one's not too far out of the realm of possibilities.
No, it's not.
He would go straight at Guinness.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that would be the same thing he did against Jameson. Like,
Yes.
he would make an exact same product. He would make just a dry stout, and he'd go right at Guinness. He'd be like, this is better than these guys have been doing it for 500 years.
yes. He would
I
like.
would do 500
And
minutes.
everybody would believe him, whether you thought it was better or not. You'd be like, well, who needs Jameson whenever you can have a proper 12? Like, screw this.
No, he would seriously take Guinness, basically add just a little bit of vanilla to a big pot, and just be like, "All right, here you go."
Yeah.
Let's get a name. Let's get a name
okay.
here.
Okay, so why do you call it proper 12? That could help us.
That's a good question.
We don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a thing behind it, but I didn't.
Something. Okay.
This is a tough one.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what town he's from. I feel
Ireland.
well, that's what.
Ireland's only.
That's a
I can
country,
see that.
isn't it?
Could you see him making a beer that's exactly like Guinness called Ireland's Only? So then everybody completely forgets that Guinness is made in Ireland.
Yeah, they'd be like, what?
That's not bad. Ireland's only.
Ireland's Only. I like that one.
I don't know. I think Ireland's only may be the best one.
And then you could realistically, all you need is what's the name?
Dublin's own.
Dublin's own.
Yeah, Dublin Dark. That's what it'd be.
Dublin Dark. I like
Dublin
that.
Dark.
Now,
After dark.
he could honestly make something called
Connor.
Connor's Car Bombs if you mix his.
Hey, I'd do those. You know I like
He's-
my car bombs.
He sell a gift set, and the big movie kind of car bombs on it.
Yeah. There you go. Leighton's got the holiday gift set that you see at Walmart already. You got
He has,
the
you know-
pint of Proper 12, the one bottle of Dublin Dark, and then the little bitty bottle. He would just have to come up with the.
Kind of makes a new. What's that stuff called?
Isn't it like a cream liqueur?
Not kill it.
It's cute and cool, but what's like the really famous one?
Shoot, man. We've
That one that everybody buys all the time. Isn't everything?
No, I never buy that one. I always buy the cheap one.
Okay, what is it though?
I
It
can
has gold fucking letters on it. It's a big white bottle.
Yeah.
I can actually.
What's it
vouch- I can actually vouch for that. I have seen Drake.
You've seen my knockoff car bombs.
I have. He brought it one time, and he goes, "It was so." I think it was a Guinness. I think it was actually a Guinness, but he bought the cheapest Irish whiskey I've ever seen, and the cheapest of that other stuff that we can't think of the name. Bailey's. It was
Bailey's.
a knockoff Bailey's, and he was like, "Oh, it was cheaper. This and this." I said, "Dude, next time, can I just buy the car bomb stuff? Like it's an extra
It'll come in
$2 each way."
It would come in Connor's Christmas gift set.
You get a little thing of Bailey's.
A little thing of Connor's cream. He's gonna call it Connor's cream.
You get a
Not
Connor's
Connor's
cream, a
Bailey's.
Dublin Dark, and a Proper 12, and it'd be the best Christmas gift set ever.
That would be awesome. We need to get on this.
I think we should email him.
Yes, I think
we
it's
should
I think it's a
email
good
him.
idea. He has one of the three, and we already have the second one just ready for
Yeah,
him.
it's ready to go.
I think next
Beer's the easiest one to brew up too. He could have that ready in a month.
All
Yeah,
right.
I think next year I'm gonna make us all White Russians because that sounds delicious right now.
I think a car bomb sounds a little better. Latency, go ahead and dip back in. I have two more in here, one for you and one for Mr. Shackelford.
Okay.
So dippers, Connor buys.
A for-profit prison.
A for-profit prison.
I feel like that's something people buy whenever they start making a lot of money.
I've
those are
never heard of buying a for-profit prison.
I think those are just judges have those.
It's just judges.
I think so.
Is he not like a?
So anyway, let's say he bought one. What would he name this prison?
A for-profit prison by Conor McGregor.
Hell in a Cell.
That's a. Oh yes, I actually like that one.
I don't know. Australia.
McGregor's Magnificent
He'd
Mile.
probably just go for it and be like Australia.
Australia.
This is Australia. Look him know. No, fucking.
Wouldn't he just call it Dazakhstan?
What's that? What's that place could be? It's called Russia. He called it Russia.
Yeah, he would shit on those guys.
It would just be Dazakhstan, I'm pretty sure. Or McGregor, like the Green Mile. It'd be like McGregor's Magnificent Mile, and it's just like a mile loop around there where you can get out and get your morning jog out in the yard.
Connor's
Connor's Compound.
There you
Compound.
go, that's a good one.
I like that one.
He might just call it home if he's not careful. He may
It
just
is
have
true.
to live there.
Yeah,
He could be like, "Hey, didn't Pablo Escobar do that?
buy a prison and live in it.
He got like arrested with air quotes there, and whenever he got sent to prison, he just lived on like his own home compound type thing.
That's genius.
I think so. I may be wrong there.
Okay, Mr. Shackelford got a little antsy, dipped back into
Yeah,
the
I
fourth
grabbed
one.
it.
Connor buys.
A restaurant chain. This is actually the only business out of all these that I don't think he would succeed in.
What?
I told you before that I don't know the exact numbers. I was a big Anthony Bourdain fan. I've read his couple books, and he had like the actual numbers in there. It's something like 98% of restaurants fail within a year.
Wow.
Like, it's the worst business idea ever, and it's amazing because so many celebrities fall victim to it. We talked about Mark Brunell. The one that I like to think of the most is actually Johnny Hendricks, which is kind of hysterical because he missed weight like 5 times. but he actually came up with his own
He's too busy trying to cook.
Yeah. It was a steakhouse. It was called Big Rig Steakhouse. And I want to
Yes.
say it failed within like 2 months.
Wow.
I think he was trying to make it like a premier steakhouse type thing, and it went. Yeah, I think it was dead before the doors opened, basically. So
Well,
I honest to God, aside from it just being like, oh, this is Conor McGregor's restaurant, like, I think it would be dead within 6 months. I think it would be one of those.
well, you think about it, like we've talked on the show before. We actually, and it's funny because you brought it up before we got on. Mark Brunell, he invested his whole entire NFL fortune into Whataburger and went bankrupt.
Isn't Whataburger a joke? Like,
No, Whataburger's delicious.
What's Pulp Fiction? That's Big Kahuna Burger.
Big Kahuna Burger.
Okay. I was thinking Whataburger was an
He thought
actual
Whataburger was Big Kahuna
Big
Burger.
Kahuna Burger with Samuel eating the bread.
Whataburger's delicious.
This is a tasty burger.
No, Whataburger's awesome.
Well,
What would be the name of his restaurant? I could think of a few.
Bangers
of
and
them.
mash. No, that's with England.
Mac and cheese.
Mac. Oh God!
I like
Like,
it.
every single dish gets
Leighton
mac and
kills
cheese with it automatically, and it's all
I
like
have been to one of those before. It was called Cheeseology. I paid like $12 for macaroni and cheese.
That sounds
Wow.
Was it
Sounds a little
delicious?
steep.
It was good, but I had to get the smallest one because it was like $12.
How many bites?
I had my kid with me, so I got like one.
Well, it shouldn't get.
That's what you never. Kids
We
are
about
lo-
ended up in a rabbit hole there.
Kids are lovely.
McGregor's meats, mac and cheese, I think, takes the cake. And I think on the logo would just be that little gorilla. Like, he would just take the straight blasted Jim grill and just transfer it straight over, wearing the crown.
Mac and cheese is good. I like that.
I like that. So, Mr. Shackelford, what little news and notes do we have that we need to discuss before, while we have a little bit of time before next week when we actually have to break down some fights?
We did have one FC had their fights. Gary Tonin killed his dude. Mighty Mouse won. He didn't win easy. The guy he fought, man, that dude, he touched Mighty Mouse up quite a bit and defended a ton of takedowns. Even took Mighty Mouse. It was a 2-round fight, and I won't even say 2 rounds. It was one and a half rounds. But the first round was the most trouble I've seen Mighty Mouse in since like the Dominic Cruz fight. He did end up winning. He did end up taking him down, getting his back, and tapping him. Eddie Alvarez lost. He got the shit kicked out of him. The dude's name is Timofey. It's like if you were making fun of somebody saying Timothy,
Yeah.
but his actual name is Timofey. He's from Russia. The dude looked tough, and I thought Alvarez would try and take him down pretty much right off the bat. That dude just brutalized Alvarez.
Wow.
So he's already. I mean, he was saying he got paid like $1 million or something to go over there, and he got KO'd within like a minute and a half. So it's going to be wild to see what goes on there.
You know what's wild is that TBS, whenever I was watching all the college basketball, they were just like hammering 1FC down our throats.
I think, dude, I liked it. I got the app because we talked to Tony and came on and did another interview. So I went ahead and got the app about, I don't know, 2 weeks before we talked to him this time, so I could like catch up on all the fires and stuff. The app is head and shoulders above the ESPN Plus or the Fight Pass. It's a really, really good app, really easy to use. And if you were a fan of like the Pride stuff back in the day, like that's the only big difference between Japanese martial arts and the American is like they're like super, I don't want to say pro wrestling, but it's like super cinematic. It's almost like a movie, like when you're watching it on the stuff. They do it's really well produced, almost over the top. So it reminds me a lot of Pride. They've got a ton of good fighters. The other thing that they're stepping into is the e-gaming. I've seen a bunch. They were doing a bunch of commercials for their esports stuff's coming out. I don't know, man. I honestly think probably within a year or 2 years they'll probably be a gigantic competitor with the UFC.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in the Asian market. Like, I don't know how many people they're in Tokyo. There's like 60 gajillion people in Tokyo, so they're doing the right things. We could have another situation where you got kind of a Pride versus UFC, where like you have some people that only want to watch the Japanese promotions and some people that only want to watch the UFC promotions, which is good for everybody. So that way we don't have dudes like Ray Borg that, you know, get gypped out at basically 2 years worth of pay off of bad judging.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It just makes a better product for everybody, and it seems like they're trying to make it easier for us to find. Like, you know, where Bellator...
It was all free.
Yeah.
The app is 100% free, and it's powered the actual fights when you're watching. This is the first one that I've got to watch the fights live through. It's powered through YouTube. So, I mean, it gave me a notification. I clicked the notification, and it zapped me right to the way. It's the easiest app to use, which if you know me, I'm a complete technological dumbass. I've said it a million times. If I
You're
can't
a liability
pick
with the phone in your hand.
Yes, if I can't pick my phone up or TV remote and press one button and it does exactly what it's supposed to do, that's it for me. I'll put it down and I'll never mess with it again.
Imagine something with the football, the nuclear code thing.
Oh, no, that would
So, we got to play the fight now. I hit go.
It go. It didn't work. No, I honestly think that ONE FC will pass Bellator as like the main stake, because
they might already have.
Yeah, they might have already done it, especially internationally. If you think about Bellator, since they've switched to DAZN, how many Bellator fights have you watched live?
0. I can't watch them.
It's impossible to find them, and you know it's not with the ease as ONE FC. Now I think that they're even going to be actually broadcast on television networks that basically everybody in the United States gets. I think they're going to be, if they haven't already passed Bellator, they're going to leave Bellator in the dust.
Yeah, I think that's an easy. I mean, I think that's a no-brainer. I mean, I think they're going to be, is it TBS or TNT? They're going to do...
It's TBS or TNT. It's one of the two.
They're going to do events on there, but they're also doing the same events on their app. So if you don't have that, you can get on the phone and do it. I mean,
that's unbelievable.
And Bellator, I mean, if they do have some events still on Paramount, which was Spike TV.
Those are a rarity anymore.
Yeah,
though.
Those are rare. And DAZN, man, I don't know. I just don't know how that's operating, because they're paying tons and tons of money to these pro boxers and these athletes. I don't know if you've kind of watched the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Have you heard much about that?
No, I haven't heard anything. I know Tyson Fury booked to fight somebody else.
All three of them have. So you got Fury's the champ, and you got Wilder. Or I'm sorry, what's the champ's name?
Anthony Joshua.
Anthony Joshua is signed with basically one section. I think DAZN maybe. Yeah, he signed with DAZN. Fury just signed an exclusive deal with ESPN, and then Wilder went Showtime. So you got 3 guys fighting again in promotions that won't co-promote anything, and they all legitimately, could be the champion of the world. But right now, Joshua's got the belts, but he's fighting a bunch of nobodies on a DAZN that nobody can see.
Yeah.
So I want to say his last fight only had like 9,000 or maybe it was 19,000 viewers on the app or something.
Holy smokes!
Just brutal, man.
So everybody's not as stupid as us.
No, it's just nobody knows when to watch them, where to watch them, how to get the app.
Because I thought you and I were kind of just like left out of this DAZN thing, but if only 20,000 people are buying in to watch Anthony Joshua
the
fight,
heavyweight champion of the world.
Yeah, no, I guess we're all just that dumb.
Well,
either that or they need to figure something out.
When's the last DAZN commercial you saw anywhere? Anything other than you just knowing about fights and hey, there's something called DAZN.
Yeah, and me seeing like
Triple
DZN.
G. Now they own Triple G and Canelo, but that's all.
They signed one of them. Did they? No.
They got Canelo, the first one. They signed Triple G like 2 weeks ago.
They did sign Triple G? Okay. I don't know where the hell they're getting their money, because they ain't sold nothing yet.
I can't remember who's backing it. I was listening to a different podcast the other day, and somebody said that they were shoveling money into it, but I can't remember who it was.
They're definitely shoveling money into it. Eventually, there's got to be some money out of it.
Yes.
Eventually.
Yes.
Well, at some point in time, they're going to be boxing matches people want to see. People still pay to watch boxing for some reason, and they're going to buy it for that.
True.
Because Canelo and Triple G are the biggest draws in boxing, and I know what else to watch them
But
other
that's
than
the
them
thing.
now.
Like, what's the subscription monthly at? Like $19 a month or something like that
Probably
For
around
one
that.
channel.
10,
for one channel.
10 to 20 is going to be what it is.
Okay.
That's unbelievable.
That's
to me.
kind of the argument right now. I don't know if you saw, but ESPN, they just did the. So all the UFC pay-per-views you'll have to buy through ESPN Plus. So you won't be able to buy an ESPN or a UFC pay-per-view without ESPN Plus.
That's a terrible move.
Well, they're saying they're gonna do some bundle packages to where you can whatever your subscription and get all of them. You know, for a big bundle, you get your year subscription with ESPN Plus.
$20 a month or $100 for a whole year.
Okay, there you
For
go.
DAZN?
Yep.
So people are just going to pop in whenever there's a big fight, buy it for $20 for that month.
And be done
Cancel
with
it, yep.
Yeah. And the UFC thing now, you know, if you whatever you're paying for the ESPN Plus, like $5, and then they'll probably bundle it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you can buy 6 pay-per-views for, I don't know, $100. You get 3 pay-per-views and your subscription type thing. It'll be interesting. We've said it for a while. The pay-per-view model's been dying off for a while. I mean, you had like Ronda, Brock, McGregor, like they were the only ones bringing in those gigantic pay-per-view numbers. So
Right.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, hopefully they just give us like all those fights for free for like $100 a year.
I mean, that would definitely save money. That would save money.
And honestly, more people would be apt to buy into something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be easier for me. I could just buy them and
Just
watch
one
them
time.
wherever I'm at.
Yeah, and you know, you can pick your spots there where everybody was basically picking and choosing which pay-per-view they were going to get. That would be interesting to see how they're going to divvy up the pay-per-view money then. If they end up bundling stuff together.
Yeah, it'll
because
have to be a different model.
Yeah, they'll have to come up with a completely different model of paying the guys. So
different shares for be interesting.
yeah,
Such a wild time, man. I don't think anybody. I started watching. I mean, of course, I was one of the people that rented the VHS tapes and watched the older ones. But I remember in like '99. My dad got one of those illegal cards you could put in your satellite thing, and I would catch a pay-per-view from time to time. But I didn't really start watching them until like 2003. And it felt, I mean, UFC was only holding like 5 events a year. Pride was holding a lot more, but you had to stay up till like 2 a.m. to watch them, which I messed up again because I woke up that morning. I was like, oh, I'll get to see Tonin fight live. No, they're 12 hours ahead. So he probably fought at like 3:30 or 4 a.m. and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'll get to see him. I still messed it up. Even when I was a kid, I did it. So
you'll never learn.
we are definitely in a time where there's basically there's a fight on basically every single weekend, sometimes Fridays and Saturdays. That still blows me away. 'Cause when I started watching in 2003, like, I'd try and talk to my buddies, anybody, like, did you see that fight this weekend? And nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. So,
And you only got to say that like 5 times a year.
yeah, 5 times a year. I was like, dang, Tito Ortiz just beat the shit out of Ken Shamrock. Who? The wrestling guy? Who's that guy? Like, they knew Tank, though. I think Tank was on that card against
Everybody
Frank.
knows Tank
Like,
Abbott.
does that Tank Abbott guy still fine? I'm like, yeah, that dude tapped him out with a toe hold in like 22 seconds. I thought he was like undefeated world champ. No, he's like...
He's still
8
smoking a pack of cigarettes a day,
He's
whooping
like
ass.
6-15, actually. Like, he's not that good.
Wasn't he going to fight Ronda Rousey at one point?
Dude, he talks shit about everybody. Big John McCarthy has a story where Tank was going to fight McCarthy's wife out in the freaking stands or something. Tank's insane.
Yeah, he's something else.
Insane.
Wow. So any other news and notes before we wrap this bad boy up?
Nope, we got
When's the Thiago Santos John Jones fight?
It's still a little, like, probably 2 months away.
Do you think Thiago Santos has a chance?
I mean, he's got a puncher's chance. He's got the same chance that Anthony Smith had if he comes out and just goes wild.
Right.
But I mean, he's much shorter than Smith, so I still think Smith had the best shot had he not froze or whatever happened to him happen.
It's
to
a
him.
tiger effect, man.
I had the tiger effect not happen, I still think he has the best shot. But we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
All right, Dippers. Next week we will break down the fights. We actually have a loaded card next week.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll kind of dive into that pretty deep. Be able to spend more time actually diving into the fight since we don't have to talk about any for this week, which will be a week past. And on that note, for Drake, for Mr. Shackelford, and Leighton C., Dippers, as always, stay saucy.